I don't remember being in pain. I'm sure I was on some sort of medication, but I do, you say that, I don't really know. I don't remember not remembering. It's not like I remember all of a sudden remembering. I do remember, I was standing here, I remember my parents there, and the neurologist, like we were standing in a circle, so this is after I recovered enough to stand up, and the neurologist was talking, and then he sort of left, and he came very close to me, like, close, and he looked at me, said, "You're lucky," like, and he had this smirk on his face like he had done such a good job, and I know that's how he felt. And then a nurse said to me it was touch and go. So that was all the medical information I got. How I've learned to describe what happened actually came after, because I'm a very kinesthetic feeling kind of person, and I know what it felt like. I know it just, there was kind of a knowing that everything was good, that even, just this great knowing that happened with it. So like I said, I started to meet a lot of people. One of the things that happened was, after my near-death experience, I moved back to Westchester, New York, and I was in my apartment, and someone knocked on the door. Again, there was this beautiful woman at the door who said, "Oh, I'm the sister of this friend of yours," and she ended up introducing me to this Sufi sheikh who was a spiritual teacher. And when he started to talk to me, a few things that he said. First, he started it's kind of funny that I was born in a Jewish family. He was an Islamic teacher, but he started to talk to me about Jesus and Mary. And he would talk about how Mary's openness to God's love, that's how she let in the Christ energy. It's like, wow, that Christ energy and that love was the white light around me. He also used this phrase, the ocean of divine love and benevolence, and I go, that also describes that. Then when he started to talk about Jesus, it still, I start to get kind of tingly. It's like, oh, that being behind me was Jesus, just the way he talked. So those words, and that was, 35 years ago, and still when I use those words, and it just really connects to describe the situation. But the thing that happened, I just started meeting a lot of people that had near-death experiences, and teachers, and learned a lot, and many coincidences, let's say. It's kind of cool to look back and see how that happened, but the one where this woman showed up at my door is kind of cool because I didn't do anything. It just happened, and it's a good story. There's I can just look from. So I started. One thing I definitely noticed that was a physical thing. My hands after that became warm when I touched people. So that was something, and even though I knew it was a real experience, now people would, like, you can look online and read about this stuff. I had never heard of it, a near-death experience I never heard of, and so it was kind of like my mind saying no, but so many things saying yes. So I started to explore the thing about hands-on healing. Someone in there suggested that I try a polarity treatment, and that was in Vermont, so I had a polarity treatment that was really profound, but she suggested I do some follow-up sessions. She happened to know someone actually in Westport, Connecticut who did polarity, and so I went there, had sessions for a while, and one day the woman said, "I'm starting a class, I think you'd like it," and I just found having a structured way to use my magical hands basically was a great experience also. It's a very gentle form of bodywork, similar to what people think of as acupressure, but generally more gentle. It's also based on Ayurvedic medicine as opposed to like acupuncture and Chinese, so from India, Ayurvedic medicine. I guess I'm kind of stubborn, but it just seems like a lot of things kept happening to me as opposed to me doing them. One of the things that happened was I told a friend Actually, my friend's father, my next door neighbor growing up in Westchester, his grandfather was very ill, and I was talking to my friend's father, and I said, I'll pray for him. And when I prayed for him, I felt something happen. And then the next time I saw my friend's father, he said, I think something happened when you prayed. And that was pretty cool that he would be aware of that and open to that. And, because the grandfather went from basically, they were thinking he was going to die any second to living for months longer. That was very cool. I started the polarity sort of as a hobby, not really as a profession. I had done yoga some, so I did yoga, and I don't know, I didn't take it so seriously. Again, I went to yoga classes a lot because there were pretty women in the class, actually. Electrical contracting is a very lucrative business, and we were doing jobs in office buildings and supermarkets, and some of the jobs were great. I like the work. It's doing the work's very physical. There's planning the jobs is very intellectual. It's just a lot of the people it's very business. So there were some great jobs when you're working for good people, but a lot of it's struggling with men for money, basically. And I just realized I needed to change, and I had been doing polarity kind of as a hobby, and I decided to change. And I did, one of the things I learned is about manifesting stuff, so I did the whole process that I did, and did some what I had learned, and added in my own tweaks here and there, and my practice took off very quickly, magically. So I wanted to do that. I got an electrical job where I was actually going to do the work for the county of Westchester, but it was in the county penitentiary office buildings, which meant I was the only person actually working there during the hours I was working. All the other work was done by the inmates, and I wasn't allowed to be there at the same time they were there. Normally in a contract, and most jobs you have to work from like 8 to 4. Since I was the only one there, I realized I could ask for permission to work from 6 to 2, and they gave me that, and I was able to, in the afternoon, in the evening, focus on getting my practice going. But I basically wrote out in detail, like 4-page long, what I wanted to do, from waking up in the morning, being happy about it, to how much money, to the clients. And a cute story again with the women. I wanted a lot of pretty women to come see me, and I went into a lot of judgment about it. Like, I'm doing something spiritual, that shouldn't be a part of it. But I knew to trust that, so I put that in my ideal inner image that I call. And, I did these processes of reading it over 100 times and then reading it over a bunch of times every day for more than a month. And shortly after I started my practice, I met this woman who was a manicurist in New York City for like Vogue magazine and Bazaar. I don't even know if Bazaar still exists, and she loved my work. So for about 3 years, the majority of my practice were models coming to see me. Right, all those questions came up, and then it's like something really good, because, it is a really tough business. You can just imagine, it's bad enough for women to be judged so much for how they look, but imagine your job. There was one woman she was very pretty. Some of the models, to me, were not that pretty when they came there. With the makeup on, they look gorgeous, but there was this one woman who was very pretty, and the nicest person. It's like her feet were like a half size too big, and it kept her from so much work. It's like, man, that's tough. So, these little things. And so I just helped a lot of people. Part of it is reading it over 100 times, which takes hours to do, and then reading it every day, like over a few times for more than 32 days, basically. There's a universal consciousness that you gets the energy in there, that pattern in there, by doing it over and over again. There's part of us that I call the basic self that actually starts to believe that it's happening and acts like it's happening. And then in the spirit, it starts to, it actually gets, now I can see that actually something in the different levels of spirit, it creates that there. I think I mean, I've been very sensitive since I'm young, so I kind of felt displaced, and still, it's an effort. Let me put it that way. You know, it's it takes a commitment. It takes a lot of work, and you know, now it's not so much. But you know, look, part of it is I'm a Cancer. I'm introverted. I'm very kinesthetic. These are just very feeling-oriented things. So, you know, that book, Stranger in a Strange Land, I think a lot of teenagers can relate to that, but I really related to that. It's hard to answer that because to me, it's always like looking, another part of it is I'm kind of naive. Like I really see that good thing in people, and when people aren't acting from that place, it's always kind of strange to me. Even though I know that's the way it is, I think that part, when you see this really wonderful thing, and then you start to see that is in everyone, and then some people are not in touch with it at all. There's some people that are not in touch with it at all, and they think they're really doing something really good, and they're just not being nice to people. And so, yes, it is. There is a struggle of dealing with the physical world, but we can. That's why I meditate every day. That's why I connect with people. That's why I love my work, because I can connect to this beautiful, loving energy, and you know. So it's a little gentler than, and knowing that those things are there for a purpose, to strengthen me, helps. I think heaven's a good word because it gives the feel of what it really is, you know, just this beautiful, wonderful thing. And see, then I say it and it goes into my heart, and it's like, oh yeah, I can feel it right now.